They called her Ghost 17, though no one in the unit ever said it out loud. In the team she had been temporarily assigned to, she was simply the sniper. A quiet, steady presence with eyes that never missed and a trigger finger that never hesitated. Some of the men respected her. Others doubted her. None of them truly understood her. Her real name was Area Vance, and she had earned every inch of her reputation the hard way, through frozen nights, impossible shots, and missions that never made headlines. She had been attached to the SEAL unit for a classified operation deep in hostile territory, where intelligence suggested a heavily armed insurgent group was preparing a coordinated strike. The mission was simple on paper: infiltrate, observe, eliminate high-value targets if necessary, and extract before sunrise. But nothing ever stayed simple. The night they deployed, the air was thick with tension. Area moved ahead of the team, gliding through shadows with her sniper rifle cradled like an extension of her body. She took position on a crumbling ridge overlooking the compound, a perfect vantage point. Below, the SEALs advanced silently, their movements precise and rehearsed. Over comms, everything was calm, controlled. Then the first shot rang out. It wasn't hers. Chaos erupted instantly. Enemy fighters poured out of the compound like ants from a disturbed nest. Tracer rounds lit up the darkness. Area's calm voice cut through the noise as she began firing, one shot at a time, each bullet finding its mark. One enemy dropped, then another, then another. The SEALs relied on her cover, pushing forward despite the overwhelming resistance. And then it happened. A flash from a distant rooftop, a glint of metal she caught a second too late. The bullet struck her head. From below, two SEALs saw it happen. They watched her body jerk violently, her rifle slipping from her grip as she collapsed behind the ridge. Over comms, someone shouted her call sign, but there was no response. "She's down!" one of them yelled. "Sniper's down!" For a moment, everything seemed to tilt toward disaster. Without her overwatch, the team was exposed. Enemy fire intensified. The SEALs scrambled for cover, returning fire as best they could, but the tide had shifted. And up on the ridge, Ghost 17 lay motionless. Or so they thought. The bullet had struck her helmet at an angle, penetrating just enough to graze her skull, shattering the side plating and knocking her unconscious. Blood ran down her temple, warm and blinding, but her brain, her will, refused to shut down completely. Minutes passed. The firefight below grew desperate, and then her fingers twitched. Area's eyes snapped open to a world spinning in red and black. The pain was unbearable, a sharp, burning pressure tearing through her head. But beneath it, something else burned stronger. Instinct, training, purpose. She reached for her rifle. Below, a SEAL named Carter shouted, "We're not going to make it at this rate." Another explosion rocked the ground. The team was pinned. Then a single shot echoed from the ridge. One of the enemy gunners dropped instantly. The SEALs froze for half a second, then looked up. Another shot, another enemy down. "She's alive," Carter breathed. "She's still alive." Up on the ridge, Area had propped herself against the rock, blood dripping into her eye, vision blurred. She adjusted her scope with trembling hands. Every breath hurt, every movement screamed, but her aim remained true. She began to work. One by one, she picked them off. Not fast, not rushed, just precise, ruthless. Each pull of the trigger was calculated, controlled, inevitable. The enemies tried to locate her, to return fire, but she had already shifted position. Even wounded, she moved like a phantom. The SEALs below felt the pressure lift as targets began to fall around them. They pushed forward again, regaining ground. Every time they thought they were about to be overrun, another enemy would drop, taken out by the woman they had just watched get shot in the head. By the time the firefight ended, the compound was silent except for the crackling of burning debris. 29 enemies lay dead, and Area Vance was still breathing. When the SEALs finally reached the ridge, they found her slumped against the rock, her rifle still clutched in her hands. Her face was pale, her uniform soaked in blood, but her finger was still near the trigger, as if she was ready to fire again at any second. Carter knelt beside her, shaking his head in disbelief. "You took a headshot, and you kept fighting." Her lips moved slightly. It took effort, more than any shot she had taken that night, but she managed a faint, crooked smile. Mission wasn't over. That was all she said before losing consciousness again. Later, when the reports were written and classified, her actions were reduced to a few sterile lines of text. Sniper regained consciousness after critical injury, eliminated 29 hostile combatants, enabled team survival and mission success. But among the SEALs who were there, the story became something else entirely. They stopped calling her the sniper. From that night on, they called her the one who came back from death and finished the fight.